Hello, everyone. I'm your co-host C Diesel, and this is the
Maybach music.
Then in our podcast. To the left of me today, I
Maybach
have
music.
Lelouch V.
Maybach music.
I swear to God, I was talking to Cardi about this on the Friday stream. And I was saying, like, man, I don't know why I don't just delete this off of here right now.
Right back.
Why didn't you? What stopped you? What
don't
in the hell
know.
possibly?
I don't know.
To
You
the
had
left of
one
me, I
job,
have
Otis. You literally
Lelouch
had
V.
one job.
To
Was
the
to
right of
end
me, I
the
have
madness.
Professor E, King of the Comics, Ethan Murphy, and we are the Then in Our podcast. Thank you guys
How
for
do?
tuning in. These niggas. Yeah, guys. Again, another fully loaded docket today. We're going to be talking about what was the highly anticipated and what seems like damn near the universally loved The Last of Us HBO adaptation. That's the main docket today, and we have some other fun things to get into after that. But to go ahead and start, I'll let Lelouch V give your initial thoughts on the first episode. I think the next one comes out in like 3-4 hours.
Yep, it comes out at 9 tonight. So I mean, going into episode 1, like they had a very, very, very high bar to live up to. I mean, I've gone as far to say like Last of Us is the best zombie game. Period. Like,
Is
to
it?
exist.
Bold.
I think it kind of is.
That's tough.
Um,
I got that on the list.
bold.
That's tough. It's
I
up there.
mean, story wise, I don't think there's like a comparison. Gameplay wise, it's arguable. There's definitely some room to, but the culmination of the two and the experience of the online as well.
It's
So, I mean-
that's an interesting debate. Well, I'll let you finish though.
We'll talk about that more on A to Z when we launch that. So yeah, coming into this, they had a very, very, very high bar to live up to, and then the opening episode had a very big opening to live up to from the game, and they killed it, man. I'll give them that credit, and I expected this, right? Like I said, it's like coming into this has to be an 8. This is going to be an 8. If it's not, there's a problem. And they might have gave me a 10, man. Like that episode was fire. Episode 1. We're not talking about
we have to episode 1.
But
episode 1.
They knocked it out the park with the first episode. I'm looking forward to seeing more from it. And we'll come back to me. We'll come back. How did you feel about it, brother E?
So we'll get into this some more. The bar was, in a sense, it was high, but also was very, very low when it comes to adapting video games. What would you both? I'm asking both of y'all. You're both grown ass men. What would you say is the best video game adaptation out there in a live action?
Live action.
Live action. Not you can't say Arcane. That's animated.
So
Can't say
Witcher,
Castlevania.
I guess.
Which one?
Probably The Witcher.
Probably right. The Witcher.
Yeah. Well,
Even though they deliberately, the creators said we are not adapting the actual source material in the games. None of the game stuff really is even in the show.
hey, I still stay in that first Mortal Kombat movie.
Yeah. So let's say that
I enjoyed the movie a lot, but we're not gonna pretend that it's good. You know what I'm saying?
that's the thing. That's the bar. Is a movie that it's a guilty pleasure at best. We all enjoy it more or less, but we know it's not really good. That's the bar. So I was like, yo, if this is at least as good as Sonic 1 or
Well, that may be it though. I ain't gonna lie. After the Sonic movies,
but
those
even Sonic's like, this is great for kids. And it's a fun little ride. It's not like a great movie, but so I was like, okay, if this is at least watchable, and like Otis said, the game, that story is like, whew, fantastic.
right.
So living up to that, and somehow this show did even better. And what I think really helped was that it actually had the game writer and creator Neil Druckmann was heavily involved. I think he wrote the actual script for it, the pilot for it. So that really, really made things better. And he actually talked about how he fleshed out some things. So we'll get into it some more, I guess, about my favorite scene in the actual show was a scene not even in the game at all. So the idea of there's so much world building can do with this type of with this IP, and they really did a good job with it. So I would agree with Otis and say this episode was a 10 out of 10, and that bizarrely enough, they found a way to actually have to all the little bits that were in the game, like as far as spoiler, Sarah, his daughter that dies. I didn't cry watching that in the game because it didn't feel
Really?
because I didn't get attached to her. Plus, I could tell she was going to die. I knew it was going to happen. But in the show, I was like, they gave you so much more time with Sarah. She felt like a real person. So when she goes down, I'm like, oh, okay, I feel it more. I feel it a lot more now. And also when you see Joel later on, it's like, yeah, he's no wonder he's having flashbacks and PTSD with that. And it made sense. So yeah.
This for me is fucking insane because it seems as though it's appeasing everyone on damn near all sides you can think of, from it appeasing the absolute stands of the game as far as them recreating scene for scene and like word for word scenes, and they still held up. Like I've seen people taking the scene of them like inside of that first little hideout and them talking about like what she'll do, and I think you'll find something to do, something like that. As far as them like even recreating the clothing they would wear, like they made Sarah's exact same T-shirt. It didn't seem. That's one thing that always scares me too when it comes to adapting games to movies, is like recreating the clothes that the characters are wearing in games, because sometimes they're a little bit over the top and they look natural in real life. They seem like they made the same clothes. They look natural to me, acting wise. I thought people were gonna rage out about them race swapping Sarah, but that still held. I haven't seen a single thing about that after the fact, after the episode. It's just great.
It's only because she died in it.
Right. And even then,
I mean,
like I agree with Cito where I cried both times, bro. I was like, man, dad lost his daughter. Maybe it's because I don't have a dad. The other two dudes were healthy relationships with your fathers.
Right.
It was dope. It was dope to me, man. I enjoyed this first episode so much. And I was really scared. Like even in the previous episode, I didn't want to have any expectations because I didn't want to get let down with another video game movie, especially one that I enjoyed so much with the narrative. And they're retelling this narrative and they're adding onto it and expounding upon it in a great way that doesn't feel like it's bastardizing the original stuff.
Yeah, I'm with both of y'all, and I'm sorry, Otis, you would have said something.
I was just saying, like, I agree that you, to a degree, you shouldn't go in with the expectations, because I mean, that's how you get let down. But when they pick a specific title that has a specific reputation, I feel like it's fair to have an expectation. If you have to come correct to the thing that you picked, you chose to do this. So I mean, if they had done less than what they did, again, I'd have some heat for them, but they didn't. They knocked out the park, and I am excited to see episode 2 tonight.
Right. One of the fun things I loved about it is like showing the passion that the creators have for the project. I didn't even know the lady that played
Tess. Either
she
Tess or
she was like one of the original people that auditioned for that character, like back in 2013 when the game first came out, and they brought her back around. Or was
not
it
Tess? I'm sorry, not Tess. Miriam or whatever. Not Tess. The other one, the one that's from Firefly. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the Fireflies.
I was like, I saw that and I was like, damn, that's insane that they like did that homework and saw the casting call for it. Granted, they probably didn't like just give it to her because of that, but the fact that that was really well connected and like it shows a passion they have for it. They didn't just approach this half-assed. They like had some love for the project.
Absolutely.
I want to agree with you, Nick, but Mortal Kombat came out. What was that? 2021. That was 2021.
Yeah,
right?
it was last year.
I will say though,
2022 was last year.
That was
so on that same token, that we still had Castlevania, The Witcher, and
Arcane is inspired, but
we've got like 3 to that one battle one. And we're granted Castlevania didn't have like a designated storyline to follow, but
not really.
It's a game adaptation in a sense.
But so the thing about it is, though, fam, is that like you don't have to have the most robust story in a game in order for it to inspire a story or to inspire a narrative. You can just take the raw elements and make a much bigger thing. Arcane is an example of that. There isn't. They use some basic loose framework of those characters in that huge League of Legends to make what they did with that show, and it worked really well. Castlevania, another example where they didn't have hardly any narrative at all in those games to make any sense. It made that amazing show. This is an example of where the game is basically all very, very heavy with the narrative. So it's a matter of like, how do we, in a sense, cherry pick or expand on things to make it better? I'm gonna have to say it, but we've all seen The Last Airbender, unfortunately. That's an example of an amazing narrative and IP that just that guy bastardized to pieces. He had it right there, and he did the wrong thing with it. So you can definitely have an amazing story and still F it up beyond recognition. It's a matter of having the deft hand and knowing what to do with. Also, it's a matter of the mediums themselves. They expanded upon several moments or ideas in the game when they adapted this. My favorite scene in this actually isn't anything in the game at all. It's the backstory. It's the opening scene where old boy is like basically giving a TED talk.
I was going to talk about that. Yeah,
and that dude's like, I'm telling y'all, the world will end if we get a couple of degrees warmer. He's very chill, very matter of fact. They're like, oh, this guy's old and British or whatever. And he's like, I'm warning y'all, just do your thing.
man.
But it's like that scene is so like real. It's like I'm letting y'all know right now what's up.
Right. And then it hit that specific scene specifically hit on a different level of nostalgia for me, just because that's the brother from the Mummy.
Mummy and Mummy Returns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Jonathan.
I
So
love this so
crazy.
much. It left a sense of dread, and it was actually kind of intimidating for a fact that one, it was very applicable to like modern day times where they made hey, this is how you do it. This is going back. Hey, we're going back to Velma. This is how you do it. When you want to talk about what's going on, when you want to talk about
we
real
were
world
trying
issues,
not to.
when you want to talk about real world issues and not be straight up direct about it and just preach about it, this is how you do that. Where they created this like satire almost in a sense, but it also made sense to the story. The insect that they talked, that one bacteria or fungi, I think they talked about. I did a whole research paper on that, like back, I think, like first year of college.
Yeah,
And I'm like, I'm going back about, I'm like, damn, that is how that works. That's insane. And it makes sense because the main thing was, from my memory when he was first talking about that, of it being not hot enough for that fungi, or I think fungi or virus, to live inside of something, live inside of a human being with us, our body temperatures and things of that nature.
Right.
And he said global warming. I was like, damn, that fucking hit. It makes sense narrative wise. They were able to talk about, like, create a satire and talk about something in the real world, and it all fit in like this well packaged box. And it made it even more intimidating to me because it's like, oh, could that happen in real life now? You don't know.
I mean, the thing is too, this game came out, Last of Us 2 came out during COVID. And it was kind of like, I remember how poignant that game seemed, because it's like, yo, this is a real epidemic crisis happened. Think about it too, was back in the day when the first game came out, it didn't have it. I think it may have been expanded upon, maybe the comics or some other stuff, some other lore, but they didn't actually have the actual source of where how this thing how it began, because we're seeing the game primarily from Sarah and then Joel's point of view, and they didn't know how it started either. So it's kind of like they had no idea. What the show did, though, is the show actually gave us essentially its exposition, but it doesn't feel like a horrible or ham-fisted dump. It feels like it's a fun, or not fun, but it feels like it's an engaging, like, the kind of talk show you're watching. And like you said, Deb, it creates a weird, ominous atmosphere, and it leads into the show. And there's your exposition right there. You don't have to have any conversations about it. It's just done for you in a sense. So
the even doper part about that was that if you look up pictures of what that is, like, the actual virus does to the ants that it hosts within, the kind of the shit that you see with like clickers and different things that form, like the crust that forms on them, it looks exactly the same. So it fits on all levels possible. It's fucking crazy to me how well done. I could be gassing up something that was like a complete happy accident that happened as far as them writing that, but I'd like to think the best of somebody like being that monotonous about making sure things fit.
They did. So they actually did. I remember back in the day, they did actually. The clickers, for example, their heads had kind of explode like that kind of a mushroom, not mushroom cloud, like broccoli kind of shape. That's when the ants climb that blade of grass, when you see them at the top like that, it looks exactly like that. It's not a coincidence. They did it on purpose. They did their research for it.
Oh man, that's that. I love attention to detail when it comes to shows like this, because it means you're a fan of the franchise and you're making everyone happy on all sides. Because I've seen a lot of people that have never played the game go to watch the series and have enjoyed it as well. So you're making it enjoyable from all sides.
No, I agree.
It's just something beautiful about taking something that was already had an original adaptation and elevating it to another medium. It's something that I wish Chainsaw Man could have done. But I really enjoyed.
Kill his mic. His mic is off now.
He's spitting though. He cooking.
I'll kill both of them mics.
Everybody flashed out that Velma and Chainsaw Man in the final episode. I fuck with.
We had to get to that. We had to do both of those. I think what it is as well is that it's certain things are prime for adaptation better than others. This is especially think about that, how timely it is now doing something like Last of Us. It's like. And they said it's actually set obviously in 2023, but it's like it could have been set a couple years ago. The movie Contagion came out a few years, like a decade or so ago, right? And that movie blew up after on a streaming services during the pandemic because people were like, oh my gosh, this is very real. So these types of things, zombies have tended. This is one of the reasons that Otis and I love zombies so much, is because zombies tend to be a reflection of the times we're dealing in some capacity. A few years back when they had World War Z, that movie, they had zombies that were running around. They were fast zombies that were taking over like capitals. Even before that, we had 28 Days Later, and there were also kind of like rage zombies. The idea of the the world dying that much faster and trying to consume you that much faster, as opposed to way back in the day in the 60s when they were very slow walking, as far as like a slow decay. It always meant to reflect the times. And now we have these zombies or clickers. They're pretty much the reflections of global warming. So it's all these things are meant to be very much timely in a sense, and I appreciate it for that.
Yeah, and that's especially hits on another level for me, just because I mean, just dealing with this blizzard, which is a result of global warming too. So I mean, I'm seeing the effects of it. I mean, that's just the next level. We go full on clickers, and Last of Us happens in 2020. What 2045? Well, it'd be nice, 2045.
Wait, so 2045, you'll be what,
I'll be 45.
26, 27? Yeah, you'll be old enough to drink by then, Charlie. So,
I agree with Nick. Like I went and I was looking to see how much the part 2 cost. I was going to buy that and just play through that one. That's still like I think like $30, something like that. The original game went back up to $70, like the price of a brand new game. I'm like, Sony, hey man, I ain't mad at it, but God, you went all the way up to $69.
Shameless.
Price is not the base price. What do you mean?
The game dropped at what $59.99, right? When it originally came out of tweets.
Yeah, it was lower. Yeah, because it went down during the pandemic. I saw it too. It was actually like $30. It was in that store, like the 70% off. It was cheaper, much cheaper. And then, of course, because of the show, they gotta raise the price.
I think they released the remastered edition too.
Right.
But they knew what they were doing. They released that in accordance to this. It was like, oh yeah, so
yeah,
you did just release that game, didn't you? Let me go ahead and give you my money.
Of course,
they're smart. It's just exactly what Nick was saying, man. I mean, Sony is playing chess. Sony is playing chess. Xbox is playing checkers. You know this.
And then our boy Nightwing in the chat.
Same thing with Destiny soon, because those series are coming. Just throwing it out there.
And more to the wise is actually $70 now on the PS5 version for the same. Right. It's the same game, but it's $70.
Technically $69.99 if you want to.
Is the multiplayer back up for it? Is my question, because I mean that.
Oh right, that multiplayer.
I mean, I'm also biased, as you know. You can walk around with a bow and craft your own arrows, and I mean, but still, it was fire though. Okay, so.
I do want to touch back on Ethan's point earlier about like some stories being primed for adaptation. I agree with that to an extent, but I will also say it's in my belief that you can adapt any story if you're putting your own creative spin on it. I think where a lot of different studios and people mess up is that, one, you're not actually paying attention to detail as far as details of the plot and what actually makes that story that story. So you get a bastardization like The Last Airbender, where they don't even pronounce characters' names correctly from the actual show, or even plot points and things of that nature. You would have never thought a game like certain thing like Castlevania, that's probably a little bit easier to do, but that literally has damn near no story plot to it at all, but they somehow made that a whole fucking thing through passion and attention to detail. So if we go from something that has nothing like that as far as like plot points to something like The Last of Us, where they have the entire story laid out and we have two amazing results out of that, to me, you just gotta know what you're doing and enjoy the thing that you're making.
So some of it is I know you haven't seen this movie yet, the Lord of the Rings trilogy. For years, they tried to adapt that from the book, and one of the reasons was for years it was the budget, or trying to create a literally Middle Earth and all those things. That makes it much harder adaptation. Sometimes it's something smaller, more insular, like for example, Life of Pi, where the whole thing is set in a boat, and not even a boat. It's set in like a rowboat. It's like, how do you make this an engaging story? So sometimes there are different challenges when it comes to adapting things. But yeah, you're right. If it's something like a video game where you have characters that have an objective, you can give the characters themselves a personality. That's why Castlevania shined. It wasn't them, the fighting or the action. It's fun, yes, but it shined because the characters' personalities and dialogue, giving them actual humanity, essentially. That's where people fumble the ball most of the time. It's not knowing how to adapt people's humanity or personality. I think that's the problem you guys had with the Chainsaw Man, was the personalities didn't work for you. The problem I have with Ichigo and the characters in Bleach, the personalities don't work for me. So those are the biggest things. And think about Last of Us. Last of Us hinges on Joel and Tess and Ellie and Sarah, all their characters. So I think that's the biggest thing. If you can nail the characters in some capacity, you're golden.
Well, even to your earlier point, using Lord of the Rings and people may feel different about the Life of Pi. I enjoyed the newer one that came out. That was me. But I think it's pretty damn near hard to argue that trilogy of the Lord of the Rings, it may have taken a while, but they got it done and got it done right to where it was done amazingly. So, like I said, I think it's just the right people at the right time doing the right thing. And I think that was a lot of the issue we had. Well, going back to Chainsaw Man, we had issues with people not making improvements upon source material as far as that goes.
Yeah.
Because I still love I love the characters. Because I think the main argument that me and Otis agreed upon was that everything was just a copy and paste, where we still got what we enjoyed to an extent, but there is no they didn't put their foot in it.
Right, and I think that's what I'm saying.
Nothing put in it. It was just like, here's the recipe, but don't put none of your own little sauce into it.
Right, but I think that's when it boils down to. It is the characters. Characters. I mean, people have said before in several film classes, what makes or breaks a great movie or great story is the characters. It's always a character study. It has to be. I'm sorry, but it is what it is. And another example of that is like Arcane. Arcane, the the movie or series works so well because you're invested in Jinx and Vi, their story. Everything else is a set dressing, basically. Lord of the Rings works because you are invested in the Hobbit's journey. You're invested in our Aragorn, all kind of stuff. That's what it boils down to. So you can have fun with the flash, but the substance is what keeps you there. It is what it is. It always has been.
Right, and then to add on to Cardi's sidebar, there's a lot of tables that are going to be broken or unbroken. I don't know how it goes when the Bills are sad, but they're getting destroyed right now in the playoffs. So,
yeah, they are.
Oh, we're talking about football. That's
football,
great.
Football, yeah. My team's fine. My team is going to the division championship, but
I mean,
Bills,
Eagles,
the Eagles are destroying.
Yeah.
But the Bills,
Look at these men in here, the barbershop talk. That's cute.
Get yourself, sir. Call us cute.
Oh, do y'all have any other closing remarks in this first episode? Because I know we're going to be talking about this show as it goes through.
Just one thing that I wanted to bring up real quick was just how I know there's a lot of CGI that's used to create the world, how the backdrop looks, but it looks very real. It looks authentic.
Yeah.
The immersion is absolute. I felt like I was in this world. What's it said, Otis? Chicago, the first game? I can't remember.
Boston. Well, they start off in Texas, but that's in Boston.
It's in Boston, right? That felt.
Nigga, that's Chicago. I had all the jokes.
I did. I couldn't. I'm old. But yeah, it looked. I mean, it looked amazing. It looked amazing, and just the idea again, like that y'all mentioned the clothing and everything for us to get for fans, hardcore fans of this IP, to completely be taken away or swept away inside this without criticizing. Oh, does he have the right accent like Joel, or is she Anna Torv doesn't look exactly like Tess looked, or oh my gosh, she's black. How's that possibly Sarah? No, we're just like, yep, this is it. You got me. So.
Also, the last thing that Lily was at the end of the episode was they did a thing that I absolutely adore in any series, film, or game that does it, where they took sound design with the song and then made that go from like a plot point into actual dressing for the sound design of the actual show near the end. That shit is always a chef's kiss, because I know it's difficult as fuck editing wise with that sound design, and then picking the right song that fits, that encapsulates the feeling you're supposed to have. That's always well done to me. I don't see too many people implement that in their films or shows, but when it's done well, and it's something that sticks out to me every time.
Yeah, leitmotif. Yeah, getting a leitmotif to nail. Oh, one thing too. I mean, I'm sorry, I just think I got some stuff to say, but I had never thought about, at the beginning of the game of Last of Us 1, the title screen essentially you see like a window blowing, the curtains blowing. I never realized whose window that was. It's actually the fact that it's Sarah's. Like, oh, okay, it makes kind of sense. Kind of cool little nod. Yeah.
Just exactly that. Like the level of attention to detail that they paid. I mean, I know we've gone over this over and over already, but still, like, finding small details like that and enhancing upon them, being able to take those scenes that you already knew were coming and still make them feel intense, like that's an impressive thing to do, especially for people that are like me that came in with a high expectation, because I needed this to be good, right? Because if it wasn't, you think my Warner Brother rants were bad already?
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
It's another Warner Brothers title that you gotta give props to. That's crazy.
Yeah.
They got you on the street right now.
A rough year.
They hitting right. That's they got House of Dragon in this. I mean,
they're both surprises. They were both surprises.
Did you fuck with the Batman? I know Craig didn't fuck with that shit at all. I forgot what we.
It was solid. I will never watch it again.
What Batman do?
The
Batman or the Pattinson Bat.
Yeah.
Oh, our pets.
I'll watch it again at some point. I gotta
like
make
it.
sure I
I
got time.
enjoyed
I won't, but I'll watch the next one. I will surely watch the next one.
You weren't in pain watching it. You weren't in pain.
No, I was
watching
not in pain. I actually really enjoyed the experience, but that
It's
felt
long.
like a 3-hour movie.
it. It's long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's long. Speaking of which, we have to give shout outs to the. I mean, I know the budget was pretty high for this episode. The opening scene we all know, where once the epidemic is happening and the world is pretty much going to hell, it's literally Armageddon, more or less. That was so well done, and I like how they did it again. It's similar to the game where you're in the car, primarily from Sarah, because the way this set up is that
FPS.
but you're from Sarah's point of view. The opening of the first half of the show, is all Sarah's point of view. So you're seeing the world fall apart from her point of view, and she's terrified watching it happen. I thought they did a great job with that too. I mean, it was amazing. I have no idea how much money they spent exactly on that one series, that one open. I mean, it was like a long takes too. So I don't know.
Seeing like an actual film production in person, like within 10 feet away from me, being here at the school, and that just being like focused at one building, I can't imagine how much hell it was to try to get that much of an area covered with all those cars and get them all in the right spots parked. And man, that had to be hell.
Oh, fuck no.
But it is what it is. Well, guys, thank you guys for being with us on that topic. We got to move on to one of our segments that I'm bringing back for this week. So everyone, these are the Diesel Chronicles. This week, I decided to get into some movie theories since we kind of already had a whole thing about a new show coming back up. So there are 3 movies in particular. I think 2 of them, I know me and Ethan probably love all 3. I know that Otis is kind of iffy on a Tarantino movie here or there, but yeah. But first thing being the theory of the Pulp Fiction film, how that they're apparently that the fan theory is that what was inside of the briefcase that was glowing gold in the beginning and everybody was vying over was the soul or Marcellus Wallace.
Right.
And apparently the fan theory is that he made like a deal with the devil for the success he had in that show, and the devil removed his soul through the back of his neck, which is why he has that fucking band-aid back there the whole time.
Right.
And
plus
the
combination 666.
combination 666 is even further kind of extrapolated from the fact that in the beginning, once Sam Jackson kills Buddy, he shoots Buddy dead, you see a gold light flash after he dies, and the theory is that that's his soul leaving his body. And then the fact that Sam Jackson immediately follows that with like a monologue from a Bible verse, kind of just all these different things play into that theory. That I don't know if that was a purposeful thing that Tarantino did, but it's something that'd be cool as fuck if that was true. That'd be cool, just to add some more sci-fi type stuff to his stories. I don't know if he has any that are mystical in nature like that at all.
Yeah, I've never heard this theory before, but I mean, I can see it. Like there's some breadcrumbs that alludes to it, so it makes sense.
Yeah,
I got to see more because this is my first time ever hearing this, so like I would definitely want to see more about exactly how it plays out within the movie.
Right. So one of the things too is another side part on that is the uniforms that Jules and Vincent are wearing are meant to look almost like they're merchants, not merchants. The horsemen of death, essentially the 4 horsemen. Yeah. So they're it's meant to be biblical in a sense as well. Now Tarantino is on the record saying that he will never tell what's actually in that case. It's meant to be a mystery.
But he don't even know what's in the shit. That's why
he may not know either. I mean, this is one of the greatest MacGuffin devices of all time. For those who don't know, we'll get into it in a POI. But a MacGuffin is meant to be an item in a movie that characters are after. That it seems it's in and of itself is kind of arbitrary, but it's important to the characters, even though the audience has no idea what it even is or why it matters. And it's a perfect example of that, because whatever is in this case is clearly amazing, but we'll never know what it is, and it doesn't really affect the story that we're watching. So even for Tarantino, the writer himself, he's like, I have no idea what it is, but it's important to them, and that's why it matters. So
the other thing that goes into the allure and the mystique of it plays into how great and interesting it is. The fact you don't know what it is, your imagination can run wild with it,
right?
Which is how you get the fun theories like this.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I guess here's one thing too. It's just us here, just talking, having a conversation, just us boys. Would y'all ever sell your soul for fame, glory, money, Italian cheesesteaks, Otis.
Why Italian cheesesteaks?
Italian was not Italian.
Italian beef.
It's like why Italian?
It depends on what he's offering exactly and how many years I got. But I consider it. We have talk.
No. That shit's a monkey's paw waiting to happen. I'm cool.
I mean, it's the definition. It's like it's like I will do this, but
I saw this season in Supernatural, so I know how it ends. It just,
right?
Jesus, that's constant monkey paw.
Plus, I because we don't know it's on the other side. Let's say there's something like reincarnation where we actually come back. I don't want my soul to be like snatched up and be in hell forever and not reincarnated into something else. That'd be kind of fucked up.
Well,
I was about to be reincarnated into like a Bill Gates in the next life, and then all of a sudden now I'm just in hell burning for eternity because I wanted 10 years of fame and fortune.
Here's the thing, Bill Gates. I feel like if you are making the deal with the devil, there's no ambiguity. You know for a fact, there's hell. There's very much a hell, and there's very much consequences. So you know you get into that, it's already established. However,
I know hell exists, but I don't know the inner workings of the universe at that point, how everything else functions.
Right. I would imagine if there is a hell, I would hope that there's an opposite end as far as there's got to be some kind of a positive afterlife too. So if I was poised to make the deal with the devil, now let's say I'll be honest with y'all, I've had a really, really bad month. And if all of a sudden this amazing dude or gal or have you walked up to me and said, hey, and you're having a rough time, but I can change it all. I can take it all away from you, change it all around. All you got to do is sell me that little thing inside you. And in 10 years or however long, then I own it. And it's going to be a very different situation. If I knew that, I'd be like, yo, you're pretty much telling me definitively that there is an afterlife and that there's angels and probably God and all of this stuff. Fuck you. I'm going to go ahead and just do whatever I got to do to survive and try to get to the promised land. By the way, what the hell are you doing here, man?
You think you're going to the promised land if you make a deal with the devil?
No. He said he's not going to make the deal.
Oh, yeah. I'm not making the deal.
Because the thing is, we're all speculating right now. We have no idea. Right. If I knew for a fact, I'd be like, hell no. Come on now. No.
You don't think that will fuck with you? Is you won't be able to like enjoy your time of fame or whatever you get the same way, knowing that in 10 years you're probably going to be burning in hell. Like if you know when you're going to die and you know for sure you're going to hell after that, I don't know if I'll probably go even crazier and maybe die earlier because I'm probably like indulging in hella shit crazier.
Sure, you could do that. You could go full. What's it called? What's that robot in Futurama? Otis, the one.
Bender.
Hedonist bot, or whatever. Mm-hmm. The gold one. Hedonist bot or
Calculon,
something.
Not Calculon, is it?
Not Calculon.
No,
the one that's always like laying down and eating grapes.
Yeah.
He's literally a hedonist bot.
Right.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, there's a Rick Ross and Kanye West song, "Live Fast, Die Young." You know what I'm saying? I'm not against that. That's cool.
It's also a Rick Ross song called "The Devil Is a Lie." I'm cool.
That's what I'm saying. We have to have a talk. Like, okay, like, all right, what's next though? Like after that, like, then what? Like
hell.
So you can try to be employed. That's all this.
I'm not trying to get no job with that.
If I get the same deal that Dean Winchester got in Supernatural, I'm cool with that. Like,
Oof. Wait, okay. I know we got to get this real quick.
Here, we whipping and flipping, bro. Let's go.
Jesus. Do you know? Let's break down the first deal this boy had. Originally, his deal was to get torn apart by the Hellhounds, the visible ass Hellhounds. Mm-hmm. Then he had to go down to hell, and he was actually on the rack. Right? He was on the rack.
Yeah, he was tortured for 50 years.
He was tortured himself, and then he taken off the rack to torture others.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. If that's the kind of dental plan you want at your job, Otis, more power to you. But I'd be like, I'm out. I'm
good. I just want to play video games. I don't want to have to torture somebody and have like screams of the damned in my ear all day, every day.
All day.
I'm about to go put somebody in. I'm about to go waterboard somebody real quick. I'll be right back.
I'm not saying I'm definitively taking it. I'm just saying, like, we have to discuss what's on the table.
But you're smiling very, very hard to be denied a job. I mean, if I was a headhunter and saw this, I'd be, let's make sure we hit that dude for a job offer right now.
And we made jokes about him being stick meter. He's like, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. I've never done that. Cut the hell. He's fucking boxing out the devil and shit. Anyway,
I'll be honest. If I go to hell and I'm on the wreck, and I see Otis up there with brandishing a knife, smiling. I'm like, yeah, awesome. I'm not gonna be surprised at all. But yeah, I saw this. He told me this himself.
Next one, next to the second of the three.
Yeah.
This movie is another movie that.
Thank you, Nightwing.
Oh my god.
You said
This
Patrick.
movie is one that I had a really great start out of the series. It got really long and convoluted later on, being the Saw series. But this is probably one that I think most people know about. That of Kevin McAllister apparently being the young Jigsaw as a child. When you look at how elaborate his traps are and how much appeal he gets from, how much joy he gets from like creating these dangerous traps that probably should have killed these guys like a couple times.
The shot in the foot.
Shot him in the foot, lit him on fire.
Tell me Kevin McAllister is. Yeah.
Kevin McAllister, yeah, he's a little boy from Home Alone, for people that don't know, setting all the traps and shit. Obviously, there's like some time shit that doesn't make sense because I think he's 9 in 1984 in that movie, and then Jigsaw's like 50. And, like, so,
but they don't ever definitively tell what year Saw is set in. So it's like,
no, I think they say it. They dated because there's newspapers and articles and shit like that that dated.
Do they ever say definitively what year Home Alone
if
is
you,
set in? Home Alone.
Yeah, they say 1984.
They do say Home Alone
84. Yeah. But hey, that'd be cool as fuck for me to get like a series of like in between of him like coming into Jig. That'd be cool as fuck to see that happen.
Or to see what leads into that.
We should write that series.
I do it.
I would. I should write it right now. But what do y'all think would lead him? Like, what do y'all think would actually had to happen to Kevin to make him that like? Because he's very dark. I know he has cancer or whatnot as a John, whatever.
As an adult, yeah.
But something else happened. Like,
oh, go ahead. You got it.
No, I got a made up theory. This is so it was one time he got caught home alone, but he had a friend with him, and his friend didn't make it out that time, and that just messed his head up, and then he ended up, Jigsaw.
Oh, so he has like abandonment issues and like guilt. What's it called? Survivor's guilt.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes sense if you look into the actual lore of actual Jigsaw, which was the reason he did it was he had cancer and then his wife got into a forced miscarriage with the guy smacked the door into his wife's unborn child. So his whole thing was like, all right, damn. I think he crashed his car, survived the shit. He's like, well, even I went through and faced death and was reborn, and I have a new life now after heinous shit happened to me or whatever else. And now he's like making other people do that shit. It would kind of check out, I guess, if you saw his friend, the survivor's guilt of maybe he like outliving his child or some shit like that.
That's the one, not gaff, but it's kind of like he hit the whole point of his traps is supposedly he's trying to force people to live a better life.
Right.
With Marv and Joe Pesci's character, I can't remember his name right now. Those two, he wasn't trying to help them in any way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's also the idea that Kevin's trying. If we go with the idea that Kevin is Jigsaw, he's trying to summon Kevin on some level. I would imagine that something happened. Let's say that Kevin's dad or whatnot became unemployed and became a bum, and they became homeless. So he said, like, I need to inspire people to do something. That would track too. That would track in some level as far as Kevin's like, you know what? I need to make sure people don't ever end up, becoming stagnant or worthless.
What I do is probably it'd be a little bit darker, but because those guys went through all that shit, now they hate this kid. Maybe they go back and like kill one of his family members or something like that. So now he's like, all right, I'm gonna make you live a better life because you've been fucked with me for so long. And they're they're actually the first victims of his trap, and not the guy.
That's the movie. That's the movie.
Yeah,
that's the movie. His first, he caught Harry. His name Harry and Marv. He caught those two and said, now let's do this my way.
It was a Universal that owns that. Write us a check. Cut us a check. We'll do it. Cut us a check.
Or John Hughes that he made it originally. I can't remember, or wrote it originally. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, I think Chris Columbus, the guy who directed the first Harry Potter movie, directed that.
No, that was James Wan. I thought.
No. I'm talking about Home Alone. And,
Home Alone. Yeah.
James Wan definitely did the first two.
Yeah.
I think so. All movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the movie. If we have where Kevin's like a teenager or whatnot, like you two wouldn't leave me alone. Now you got to suffer, and pretty much give it so that Harry and Marv have a chance to get out, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And make it messed up at the end. Let's say that one of them does survive, and their life either we see either Harry or Marv completely fucked because their life is like, I just survived the worst nightmare ever. They can never get over it. Or once they get out, he applauds, like, well done, and then pops him in the head like Sam Jackson did to Harry and Kingsman. At the very end, after
that bullshit they put Sam Jackson and Chris Rock through in that movie, I'm like, let us do this. Y'all made a movie and let them. Granted, Chris Rock was far from the worst part about that movie. I will say that he did okay.
Yeah. With Spiral, not Spiral, whatever.
Spiral, yeah, that's what it was. Which nigga, once they had 21 Savage doing a song for it, I was like, I love 21, but he does not need to do a soundtrack for a song movie. I'm sorry.
It's off.
He's far from like I'd have Uzi or like Billie Eilish do that shit before I had 21 Savage.
Even Billie Eilish?
She be do if you've heard
she's
her,
a really talented. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm a big Billie fan, so I'm biased too. She did some horror type shit when she first dropped out.
She did. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
as long as it's not Eminem, what he did for Venom, because
but it's like just look at your head. That's why you're mad.
Just look at
Venom is like, but there's no lyrics. You just say the same word over and over again.
Ethan, just look up the picture.
Venom.
Look up the picture of her first album cover. I think it's like when we go to sleep, where do we go, or some shit like that. It's all her music videos from that first album are like horror themed and shit.
Yeah, she was very emo. Goth.
Yeah, she had like a spider crawling out, real spider crawling out of her fucking mouth and shit.
Yeah, she was.
I was like, hey, I'm here for it. You know
but it's funny because she was homeschooled. So I'm like, what happened to her house? What's her mom doing to her? But yeah,
they're both musicians and artists.
Yeah,
I think her parents. I think one of her mom's an actor or something like that. I don't know. They're all like in a performing arts still in the household, which is it's cool. Moving on to the last one of this segment, being a movie that I think we all enjoy very much. I love this movie. The Dark Knight. This is one of having to do with Heath Ledger's Joker and about the theory about him being a war veteran and that being the actual backstory and negating all the other stories that he told that people were trying to put together. And evidence for this is served through the fact of the biggest one is whenever he's at the funeral for one of the police officers and he's doing the duty ceremony, like he knows how to march, he knows how to present arms and how, like if somebody was an ROTC, that shit is not easy. Well, it can be if you learn it, but
you still have to know it.
You have to know how to do it. It's not something you can just like watch a couple times and just copy immediately. Well, maybe he can, but that's the theory, is that he knew how to do that shit. So he's a war veteran and he knows how to march and use a rifle, things of that nature. He is also aware with a lot of the psychological mind games, like when Batman smashed his fucking head into the table. It's like, you never start with that. You disorient people and et cetera, et cetera. And then just him trying to sew in, he pretty much treated Gotham like a battlefield in general, in the way he was trying to sow chaos and things of the nature. He used a lot of military tactics. So I thought that'd be a cool way to go about it. As far as that being his backstory, it would make sense with that being a very hyper-realistic world, and kind of hits that on a couple other levels to me, as far as how the country takes care of the veterans and things of that nature.
I agree with that. I heard this theory a couple of years ago. One thing, two other notes with it. One is that he's bizarrely proficient using explosives and that kind of gear, much better than an average casual person would be. He's very proficient. And two, it does highlight the idea of PTSD, what it does to somebody. There are plenty of veterans and other people too that have been through so much in battlefields, everything else, even just civilians that survive battlefields. But you end up like, I'm gone. This is,
but that shit's wild. I've seen that shit firsthand with my granddad and uncle back in the day. I'm like, that shit's scary. That shit's scary.
Yeah. So it does track that this could be someone who's like or in a sense too, if he was a vet, let's say he was a veteran, this is no shame at all to the American military or whatnot, but if he was a veteran and he came back to the US, came back home, and they pretty much dogged him out, he'd be like, well, screw y'all. I mean, what do I have to lose now? I was abandoned by my country. I served my country and they abandoned me. It stands to reason he'd be like, I'm gonna get some revenge on some level too.
Yeah. Military doesn't treat their soldiers the best way they should, especially for the veterans that certain war.
Yeah, it's a rough situation. So
You better say that.
We've seen several superheroes with military backgrounds. I mean, we can go the other way too.
That's true. Yeah, think about it. There are a couple of villains, not that many, that have military backgrounds that we see really prominently, and not nearly enough, really.
Yeah, usually like they're made to be the opposite of a hero with also a military background.
Right. Like the Punisher, what's his name? Jigsaw. That's the guy he's all working the military together.
Even looking at like the heroes though, like that shit usually like it gets like with someone like a Jon Stewart, where the military played a factor into like his imagination of creating weapons and things of that nature. But in a lot of his issues, they talk about how that shit fucked him up, as far as him going through a lot of his trauma and shit, and that affecting his relationships going forward, and even his career as a hero going forward with his PTSD and things like that.
I would argue that was the best part of that last animated movie about him, was that it did show he had PTSD and dealing with PTSD. I mean, PTSD is something that's on some level somewhat recent as far as people acknowledging and dealing with. But people have had to deal with it since forever. So it's
just crazy. But that is everything for the Diesel Chronicles for this week, guys.
Legit.
Just moving into the next segment that my boy Otis has.
Oh, shit,
You got an intro for it?
No, I
Oh, I was about to say that's you. That's
No,
what
it's me,
the
the
intro. I got one
Yeah.
for it. Here you go.
Yeah, I
Some
remember.
motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
There you go.
You know what?
That was.
You know what?
I'm not mad at that at all.
Every time we do this segment, I want that to be the opening right there. So yeah, so I will call this a case of people trying to ice skate uphill because yeah, so RRR is the topic of conversation right here. You know, it's a Tollywood movie that came out last year. I believe they got a lot of rave reviews. It's a 3-hour movie on Netflix. That has one of the highest budgets for a non-traditional film, like period. They put a lot of money into it. I believe it was a budget of $72 million, and you can see it. I mean, they used every dollar of it. There's a lot. It's a very grandiose movie. I mean, they make a. I wouldn't necessarily say a spectacle, but I mean they play. I'm trying to be polite before I rip it apart. They play up a lot of true events that happen because I mean the main characters are two revolutionaries that I guess had a lot of. I haven't done all the research to see exactly the history on it, but the movie didn't show it either. But all that to say, there's a lot to enjoy there. I mean, there are some great musical numbers there. I mean, just seeing some of those scenes, like man, like I've never seen a bigger budget on a musical thing ever, right? Like they did that. And yeah, they had some explosions that were rivaled. You know what you see in American films, like that was 2010 Michael Bay movie level stuff. So I mean, credit to them on that. But yeah, let's get to like the actual story because like none of that made sense whatsoever to me. Like the guy starts there's these two main characters that the movie follows. One of them is a soldier within the system that you find out is a revolutionary by the end, I guess, and then the other guy. Like in the third hour of the movie, that's when you find out, like, oh, he's not just a super soldier; he's a super soldier for you.
Undercover.
Cool, yeah, whatever. But at the beginning of the movie, he's given the task of finding this guy that's coming to attack the Capitol, and 5 minutes after he's given that task, he meets a new friend that is doing some amazing stuff in the middle of the street, and they just eventually become friends. It's like, oh, that can't be the guy I'm supposed to be looking for. Like this amazingly capable man cannot be the person.
You're underplaying how he meets them. I'm talking about meet cutes, the meet cute Otis and Charlie, because you haven't seen it yet. These two dudes, what actually happens is that a child under a bridge, somehow a child, or yes, one kid somehow gets like caught under a bridge, and there's oil spilling from like a car crash above, and it's going to cause a big flame kind of explosion on that kid. And so these two dudes are like, oh, we got to save this kid somehow. And more or less, the revolutionary that's undercover is like a Vegeta type. He's much more stoic, and the other dude is much more of a literally like Goku. I'm talking about back in Dragon Ball type, where he's like very risk.
What he do, Otis? What he do?
He's very country bumpkin. I wouldn't do that and still anyway. Get canceled. But he's very. I know. We can't do that. That's like saying he said the N word. I can say it too. Like no, you can't say the N word because we said it. But the thing is, this crazy ass explosion is getting ready to happen, and what these guys do, the greatest level of Jim Cotta like string work, right. And they actually saved the kid together. And you're right, old boy, the revolutionary sees country bumpkin do amazing. I'm talking about next level amazing stuff. They saved them together. They're like cool, but I guess the thing is though, it's like the thing about it is, it's like what are the odds of me running into this dude immediately? It's so, and the thing is, he does check into him though. He does look into him as far as his background and stuff. So it's not like he just takes it on face value. He does check into him a little bit, but he's hidden pretty well.
He checks in and sees he has no history. Bigger red flag. Oh, this amazingly capable person with no history and nobody knows him. What is he here for?
I'm gonna be honest. For me, hearing this description, this shit probably reminds me of. I don't know if you guys have seen like those Nigerian movies in Africa. Like
Oh,
I think one of the running series is
almost.
called Tom and Jerry that I watched a lot when I was with my uncle in Chicago. Buddy, were like they just like random shit in that movie, in those movies, and like the native Nigerians love that shit, and those movies are highly successful in those countries because they're just.
It's silly.
It's silly. It's silly as fuck. Like I think you can find like clips of him of like black symbiote Spider-Man riding a dirt bike and then fight like Superman or some shit. Like it's crazy. The shit that they do.
It felt like how people believe Chuck Norris is as a
yes.
movie.
That's exactly what it is. That's a perfect description. It's like Chuck Norris.
Oh yeah. So yeah, he was fighting 100 soldiers with 2 rifles.
That's his intro. That is literally his intro. It's not even a rifle. He has a billy club. He jumps over a fence.
Full Resident Evil zombie style. Like
there are entertaining things out there in the world. Charlie, you've been alive for a long time. There are entertaining things in the world. This is the least boring thing your eyes will watch. It's like it's just he jumps over a fence, and his mustache is firm. He doesn't have it doesn't bat an eye.
Hindi Mario was crazy.
His Mario mustache is precise. Also, his shirt stays tucked in the entire time. He jumps over into a battalion of people with a billy club and beats them all off. He wins. And you see all the footage. It's like 10 minutes long. It is the greatest intro I've seen. It's like One Punch Man on a bad day. He's like just goes ham. And it's like
Gig line is perfectly intact and he's fighting everybody and shit.
Literally, that's what happens. By the way, the other dude, the country bumpkin, his intro. Tell me Otis. Tell me what his intro is.
So his intro was assigned to go track a wolf so he could use it to trap a tiger that he was trying to catch and use in a trap to attack the colonials.
Wow.
And he did that and like won.
Barefoot.
He barefoot running through the jungle, like
chest bare,
like running ahead of the wolf. Like the wolf couldn't catch him in the forest. And he used it to get the tiger to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And like as the tiger is diving at him, this man does a barrel roll dive and makes the tiger and the wolf collide with each other and catches them in nets that he pulls up by hands in the tree.
But the nets, they're chains. You have to use chains because they're so strong. This man, this bare-chested Goku of a man, has to use his bare hands to pull these nets with chains together and hook them. It is the craziest. If you ever need a hype fuel to go to the gym and do your squats, Charlie, watch this man catch a damn wolf. It is legit.
Like, man, it was.
These are the type of movies where they kind of defy all logic.
Yes.
Normally when we talk about a movie,
you said logic. What'd you say?
We talk about a movie, it's like, oh, plot, writing, there's action, this here and there. And then we have movies like this. We have like a bunch of like fucking Nacho Libre with Jack Black, where like the movies make no sense, but for whatever reason, you can't stop watching because it makes no sense. And it's just out of disbelief.
No, because like everything everywhere at once was all over the place, right? And that made a lot of sense, right? Like I followed that story start to finish, and it like,
well, it's
like
all the
Not all the sense.
It
made more sense than this.
Yeah.
That's me watching when I got introduced to K-dramas. I was like,
K-dramas.
Okay, then this is what happens here.
A lot too.
Yeah. Like, so I think my camera's off. I thought
I was going blind. I was so scared. I was like, oh no. I thought I was catching the Itachi syndrome. Got some of my eyes blurred. I was like,
your glaucoma's coming back. No, but that was a good comparison. As far as everything everywhere all at once. Movies that have a lot of just like fun and like they can be nuts watching them. There's only so much plot you can try to glean from things. The plot for this is pretty straightforward. The Goku guy, I always call him Goku. He goes there pretty much to get back his villages. A girl is kidnapped from them. and the Vegeta guy is undercover trying to take down this regime from inside. That's the basic idea. And in the movie, the main focus of the film is their relationship with each other and seeing them battle, more or less. That's it. So, of course, some of the other details. It's a 3-hour movie, can get crazy. There's an epic dance scene where the two of them go like full like dancing with each other,
And
it's
somebody else's wedding that they don't even know.
somebody else's wedding that you don't know or care about. But that got millions and millions of views on YouTube for that one dance sequence. Also, the idea too is these guys are like buff cakes. These guys are like super, like Chris Evans and Chris Hemsworth. Michael B. Jordan, all of them like combined basically, and they're dancing their ass off.
Talented, like
Crazy
man,
talented.
doing those dances and doing those fight scenes. I was like,
They do them both well, and just
what
action.
boing boing.
Yeah, it's a definition of
I
Shaboy.
guess,
So it's like I said before. It's literally same as Everything Everywhere all at once. We had to see it to believe it. I'll put it that way. You got to see it to
But
believe
like by the end, like they beat an army of people with guns, right? Like with fully like armed. It was an army. They beat them with fire arrows and a spear.
But the way they
and
look,
two
you
rifles
saw
that
they
they
look,
picked up
They had
while
that gear.
singing.
Yeah, they were singing.
While
They were
singing,
Some
yeah.
Mulan shit.
It is a live action show in anime. There's no,
Oh man,
they're not even trying to be cool about it. They know what it is. They know what
Like,
it is.
I thought JoJo was over the top, bro.
Yeah.
Like this made JoJo look like very calm. Like,
It
oh,
kinda
that's
does.
a
Kind of does.
watching that.
I would pay so much money for this dude to direct a JoJo movie, especially season 4.
Yes,
Close with Josuke.
that level of budget. Yes, do
Yeah.
that. Do
Yeah.
that.
I would gladly watch it because the thing is, Otis is saying, of course, he's writing the movie, but it's still like he watched it. He watched the whole
Yeah,
thing. I mean,
made it through all 3 hours. It took me 2 days to do it, but I did it.
Yeah,
And the thing is, it's not boring. It's not like unentertaining.
no.
And again, like the talent of the people in this film is very visible.
Yeah,
Because
it's very
like
crazy.
I wouldn't even. They danced for like 45 minutes straight twice, and then like the second time was happening after they fought an army of people and like got shot a couple times.
Yeah,
One dude
yeah,
got
sorry,
ran
yeah.
through with a tree.
Yeah,
Damn.
Like
Yeah.
they
It
got
is
tortured,
anime.
like Jesus style a little bit.
Kind of
and-
Terminator
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
Like it was a lot of going on.
The thing is, Otis is underselling it. All the things he's saying, he's underselling it. It is. There's multiple torture scenes for both of them. They both get tortured, I believe, actually, in different ways. There's a part where the scale of what these guys can do. These guys are literally like Saitama and like Baki Hama. They are.
Cap
Is
and
this
the Winter
really Baki
Soldier
is what
would
it is?
lose to these dudes. Cap and yes,
Yeah.
might as well say Baki. Yeah.
Yeah, they're up
Yeah,
there. Actually, you know what? It's like Yujiro. You know how Yujiro Hama is. Imagine if Yujiro Hama was actually in our world against other. Because I mean, like I said before, his intro is he takes an army down with a billy club or what's that
He
called?
makes the army run away.
They run
right?
away. Yeah.
Like so, have you seen Resident Evil 3, Charlie? Have you ever seen that movie?
Like the Mila Jovovich.
Oh, that
Mila
one.
Jovovich,
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
scene where there's a facility in the middle of a desert surrounded by zombies. Like
Right.
yeah. Like imagine that, but instead of zombies, it's a bunch of Indian people. And like
Shit.
he goes in there, says because there's one guy all the way in the back of the army that throws a piece of, throws a bottle at their captain, and he says, "I want him," and he go get him.
That's right.
Like
Yeah.
through that
He
whole
basically, he
army of
basically says
people.
fetch. And he goes, yeah.
He
Damn.
goes,
Yeah.
and then brings him back, and then looks at the army
does.
of people, and then they
Does.
run.
He gets him.
And
He actually
like-
grabs that dude. He does. That's I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Bro, I ain't gonna
yeah.
lie. I need them to remake this. I need to make a Baki movie, like a live action out of like this. That'd be fire. I feel like if you watch like just that first episode of Baki where dudes are like escaping death like that.
Yeah.
I'm like this would be a fire ass Baki adaptation. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's just ridiculous enough.
It is. It really is ridiculous. The thing is that that's what they are. The same as Everything Everywhere All at Once. The director and the filmmakers are aware of how ridiculous it is. They're not trying to be like, oh, this is meant to be a direct interpretation. No, they know how over the top nonsense. I mean, the dance scene is literally 45 minutes. It's like they know what they're doing. They know how crazy this shit is. It's not. There's nothing subtle about it at all.
That'd be a fun set. I know that set was just fun to be on.
I
That
can't
had to be
imagine.
fun to be on that set, man. Acting and
Yeah.
just being on any part of that movie, that'd be fun.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And then,
And then
again,
this-
what does make it work is the two guys are they take it. The two guys are sincere about what they're doing. They are.
Yeah, they are. they are committed to those roles because they go full out. But like one thing that did just kind of strike me weird is like the country bumpkin dude falling for the I'm nice to slaves lady. Like
Yeah.
I'm not.
that same kind of place.
Wait, what the hell?
Yeah.
I'm nice to
Yeah.
slaves.
But here's a word. I think that's part of the true story. I think that actually did happen too, which why they put it in there. So, yeah.
Oh god. Well, guys, do y'all have any other closing remarks on this film? This masterpiece of a film?
I want you to watch it, Charlie. I know that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have Charlie on not the whole movie because it's too long, but we'll have some actual content where we see Charlie's reaction to certain scenes from the movie. So y'all can watch it.
Hope you editing that shit because if it's that long, I'm not touching that.
No,
shit.
no. It's you don't have that time. You don't have that
Okay,
time.
I'm not touching that.
Just the stick, the opening stick fight in the opening line, tiger chase.
That I can do.
Yeah, we'll do that kind of stuff. But it is very well shot. I mean, the actors aren't like looking at the camera like, I did this kind of crazy Deadpool shit. Like, no, it's like it's intense.
Honestly, as over the top as it was, I'm still probably ranking it higher than like Morbius or Black Adam, or like
how could you not?
Like half of the Phase 4 of the MCU. So I mean,
right,
it's
not nice gassing it.
I agree.
Nice gassing.
I'm really not like
no. It is actually. It's legit. It is a legit movie. It's still
yeah,
legit.
it is an actual movie, but it like they had to be on some type of like fever dream, like reading through the actual history and then like just wrote down every thought that they had during that time and put it in this movie.
Yeah. I mean, it is a blast. I would actually say if you can, we should have done what y'all were here. Actually get a bunch of food with your friends, get some drinks, maybe get some, but wait, do your thing and just enjoy it. It's like it's a blast, man. It's a blast.
Yeah,
we get to watch longs going on at some point. We'll get those made, I guess.
Work.
All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This has been the Then and Now podcast. Church announcements. We have some dope stuff coming in the very far future. Well, not in the very far future, hopefully. Again, DBZ documentary. We're talking about it. We actually had we keep talking about it. We've had a lot of progress on that actually get done. So that is coming a lot sooner than you might think. As well as we have some fun stuff. I'm going to announce it here. We do plan, at least I plan on reviewing a lot more indie games coming up in the near and far future. Just so I can do more video essays without having to write out a million scripts and do a lot of research. I can just play it and enjoy it. Which that means those are still coming. I may do those more sparingly, but these would probably be a little bit more easier to do, a little bit more fun. And then it's just go back to like the seafood review I did a while back. So indie games are going to be a bigger thing on the channel going forward. As well as just some fun stuff in general. We're going to be doing a lot more collaborations this year. So just be on the lookout for whatever we do and enjoy it. Let us know what you think.
And we have some really good surprises coming just for the overall show. You'll see, should be next week as far as some of the stuff that the team's working on. We've actually collaborated with somebody already. She's doing an amazing job for us. So shout out to Crystal. We'll show you some more.
Liv. We're gonna when we actually unveil the new stuff we're working on, I'm gonna have all her contact information in the description video below. So for anybody that wants to try to get something that's quality as we have here, she'll be able to do that for you guys. But you'll see that next week. We'll have it ready next week.
Yes, and also shout out to my boy to our boy friend of the show, Nightwing.
Cito.
Shout out Cito. Thanks always for being in the chat. Shout out to our boy Cardi for being here. Shout out to it was Nick. It was Nick was here, right? It was Nick.
Yeah, it was Nick.
Yeah, Nicholas, Sir Nicholas III.
Sir Nicholas III. We love you all coming here to chat with us. It means the world to us. So keep doing it, fam. We know we got some new subscribers coming in this week. So thanks for that too.
Yeah, appreciate it to those new guys that came in. We wouldn't be able to do this without you. We appreciate your support. We hope you continue support.
Yeah,
you about to notice, or I guess you too.
Yeah, both. Yeah, let's go first.
Yeah, I was just going to also say thanks to Liv for helping get the logo together for Felicia's rugs, now called That's Tuft.
That's Tuft. It's crazy.
TUFT.
Yeah, That's Tuft. Shout out to Liv for the logo for that.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna hit her up. I low key wanted to do like a then and out rug. I want to get one of those done for
that joint. You said she did the logo too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we gotta get that. We gotta throw the logo up there for her.
I'll have it loaded in for next week.
Right,
Bet.
right on. And also, yes, don't worry. Charlie is going to honor his debt. He's going to play. We're going to do Resident Evil 2 mainly because he already has the game and save some coin, but also it has a better experience as far as if you watch. Otis knows.
Much better game.
Yeah, it's a much better game. If you watch somebody play a game, it's much more fun to watch somebody play that and get the terrified than RE5. So.
Yeah. So we'll have that stream going. I'll have all the things required to get that done next week. Didn't we start that as a walkthrough like a long time ago?
About a year ago.
Yeah, like I think it was our first walkthrough we did. So we'll get to see the quality of life changes we've made since then till now. So hopefully you guys are around for that. Again, thank you guys for your support. We hope for your continued support, and we'll see you guys next time. This is the Then and Now podcast. We are out.
Peach.
All right, you're on a good streak, Warner Brothers. Don't mess it up, man. Yeah.
Oh, this shit I heard this nigga say.